don't get taught. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're gathered today on what is it, the 4th of October? I'm sorry, the 11th of October, 2025, which happens to be the second of the 11th month on our Creator's calendar as we comprehend it. And we are continuing with our study and reading of the book of Bamidbar or Numbers. We're currently on chapter 5, which has to do with the unclean being removed from the camp, and restitution is to be made in trespasses and the trial of jealousy, which anyone who has read the account of Exodus with the golden calf incident and what Moshe does by grinding it up, burning it, throwing it into the water, and having the people drink, and then all the sons of Louis who chose to repent, going through and not sparing any. Um, you'll see that maybe there's some allusions to that because he directly equates idolatry with adultery. But right here it says, And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Charge the children of Israel, and let them send forth out of the camp every leper, and every one who has an issue in the reins, and every one who is unclean from a dead body. Now, the reason why they had to have everyone who was unclean removed from the camp is because Yahuwah himself dwelt among them, and he's perfect. You can't have anything unclean in his presence. So these were physical things to teach a spiritual application. Whether male or female, send them forth out of the camp, and they shall not defile their camps in which I dwell among them. And the children of Israel did so, and sent them out of the camp, as Yahuwah said to Moshe, so did the children of Israel. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, Every man or woman who shall commit any sin that is common to man, or if that soul shall in any wise have neglected the commandment and trespassed, or transgressed rather, that person shall confess the sin in which he has committed, and shall make satisfaction for his trespass. He shall pay the principal, and shall add to it the fifth part, and shall make restoration to him against whom he has trespassed. But if a man have no near kinsman, and the reason why these would apply to us today is this is the common law. So while we don't, this is the equity that we would have in law. Whenever there's an issue, you would adjust it by the fifth part, and that would be the offense. So we would call it suing someone. They do it today for hundreds of thousands of whatever taxpayers' dollars when they get assaulted or offended by law enforcement. And it's not real under the common law today. None of that is according to the principles here in Scripture. What should happen is a trial by jury, which is the judgment of your peers according to these laws, and then they should judge that they would have to restore whatever the value of that thing, and then a fifth part to it of the value of that thing, and that would be the equity under the common law as he desires here. This is what I mean when I say we have to get back to these things and why it's important that we study it. Everybody should look at these at least once every 7 years. Um, that it's commanded for us to go through these in during the Feast of Tabernacles, actually, right? But at any time you read the scriptures, these are important to study, especially for lawyers or those that are desirous of having justice in their life or right ruling. But it says, But if a man have no near kinsman, so as to make satisfaction for his trespass to him, the trespass offering paid to Yahuwah shall be for the Kohen, besides the ram of atonement, by which he shall make atonement with it for him. So that's saying if the man, if you can't make restoration to him or his family, you can give it to the Kohen to make compensation. But the point is, it's going to cost you the thing that you were offensive in and extra, the fifth part. And every first fruits in all the set apart things among the children of Yisrael, whatsoever they shall offer to Yahuwah, shall be for the Kohen himself. And the set apart things of every man shall be his, and whatever man shall give to the Kohen, the gift shall be his. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Yisrael, and you shall say to them, Whosoever's wife shall transgress against him, and slight and despise him, and supposing anyone shall lie with her carnally, and the thing shall be hid from the eyes of her husband, and she should conceal it, and be herself defiled, and there be no witness with her, and she should not be taken. And there should come upon him a spirit of jealousy, and he should be jealous of his wife, and she should be defiled, or there should come upon him a spirit of jealousy, and he should be jealous of his wife, and she should not be defiled. Now, these rules, unless they've been given in different contexts or changed, like he changed how marriage and divorce works when he came, they are always applicable. This one in particular, he gave us new instructions for in what's called the Shepherd of Hermas, where Hermas specifically asks what you do in regard to your wife if she is not being trustworthy to you. And he mentions that as long as you're not aware, it's not a sin, but if you find out, then you have to put her away. And you put her away until she repents, but you leave room for her to come back to you, just as he is leaving room for us to come back to him. We want to follow the same thing in the renewed covenant era, right? But this here was for these times because this is what they were living through. It was the conditions of what were and what he did with the northern kingdom, with the divorce and everything, which we already talked about before. There was a video not too long ago. We read some scriptures that were put together by Sister Rita that actually covered the laws for divorce and the things of that nature and how that related to the northern kingdom and why it was Yahushua who was the husband who came and died to remarry her, right? But here, let me continue. It says, and so whether she's done that or not, if the spirit of jealousy was to come upon him, this is what they are to do. It says, then shall the man bring his wife to the Kohen, and shall bring his gift for her, the 10th part of an ephah of barley meal. He shall not pour oil upon it, neither shall he put frankincense upon it, for it is a sacrifice of jealousy, a sacrifice of remembrance, recalling sin to remembrance. That's Zakar, right? The same word. My memorial name was his Shem Zakar. It says, and the Kohen shall bring her and cause her to stand before Yahuwah, and the Kohen shall take pure running water in an earthen vessel, and he shall take of the dust that is on the floor of the tabernacle of witness, and the Kohen, having taken it, shall cast it into the water. And the Kohen shall cause the woman to stand before Yahuwah, and shall uncover the head of the woman, and shall put into her hands the sacrifice of memorial, the sacrifice of jealousy, and in the hand of the Kohen shall be the water of this conviction that brings the curse. And the Kohen shall adjure her, and shall say to the woman, if no one has lain with you, and if you have not transgressed so as to be polluted, being under the power of your husband, be free from this water of the conviction that causes the curse. But if being a married woman you have transgressed, or been polluted, or any one has lain with you besides your husband, then the Kohen shall adjure the woman by the oaths of this curse, and the Kohen shall say to the woman, Yahuwah bring you into a curse and under an oath in the midst of your people, in that Yahuwah should cause your thigh to rot and your belly to swell. And this water bringing the curse shall enter into your womb and cause your belly to swell and your thigh to rot. And the woman shall say, Amen, Amen, or so be it, so be it. And the Kohen shall write these curses in a book and shall blot them out with the water of the conviction that brings the curse. And he shall cause the woman to drink the water of the conviction that brings the curse, and the water of the conviction that brings the curse shall enter into her. Now, remember, this is if you have the spirit of jealousy come upon you, right? These are the things that you're supposed to do. I do want to remind you, Yahusuf, when he noticed that Miriam was with child, it, being declared righteous in Scripture, chose to put her away secretly and not to make a public scene of her. Okay. It says, and the Kohen shall take from the hand of the woman the sacrifice of jealousy, and shall present the sacrifice before Yahuwah, and shall bring it to the altar. And the Kohen shall take a handful of the sacrifice as a memorial of it, and shall offer it up upon the altar. And afterwards he shall cause the woman to drink the water. And it shall come to pass, if she be defiled, and have altogether escaped the notice of her husband, then the water of the conviction that brings the curse shall enter into her, and she shall swell in her belly, and her thigh shall rot, and the woman shall be for a curse in the midst of her people. But if the woman have not been polluted, and be clean, then shall she be guiltless and shall conceive seed. This is the law of jealousy, wherein a married woman should have or should happen to transgress and be defiled. Or in the case of a man or whomsoever the ruach or spirit of jealousy should come, and he should be jealous of his wife, and he should place his wife before Yahuwah, and the Kohen shall execute towards her all this law. Then the man shall be clear from sin, and that woman shall bear her sin. And again, that entire injunction is changed now. Not only are these applicable for men and women, right? But if a man is committing adultery or idolatry, he himself is to be put away, and she's not to remarry until he repents. Same thing. Those are conditions that go both ways today, and it was always meant to be that way. It's actually, yeah, the bitter waters of wormwood. That's like the wormwood in gall. It's like the bitter waters that bring a curse. And then when you go back to the idolatry, what Moshe did when he ground up the golden statue, he burned it, he tossed it in the waters, and he made all the people drink, right? The ones that had committed idolatry with it probably would have showed some signs of being sick, or they're the ones that would have been left as stragglers for the sons of Louis when they went through, and they were the righteous arm of judgment for those that were joined unto him, right? God willing, or Father willing, you can see these pictures because they're types and parables of what's happened in larger scale as well. Not everybody that is a minister today is a literal descendant of Louis, but Louis's name means those joined unto me for that very purpose. Not everyone who's obedient today is the son of Shimon or Simon, but Shimon, being all throughout the people and not of their own, and then dwelling amongst Yahuda in particular, was a type and picture. It was a sign, right? It was a parable, if you can see it, that those who hear, believe, and do will be the remnant or among those that profess, acknowledge, and praise Yahuwah, right? Or Shimon would be within Yahuda, right? But anyways, I digress again. There's a lot of those pictures and a lot of these things that you find allusion to. What he did in his body, we've done in a larger scale collectively because we are his body, just as you saw right there, sister. So this is chapter 6, the law of the Nazarites, the form of blessing, or the what they call the Aaronic blessing, the Baraka, the Aharon, and the Kohanim give to the people. Now, I've heard people talk about taking Nazarite vows today, and while anyone can make a vow and to be obedient to do certain things, you can't actually be a Nazarite today. No one can take that vow. It requires sacrificing in the temple. It requires specific things to be done that you're not able to accomplish, right? That's the reason why you can't do these circumcisions lawfully. There's no way to sacrifice and give the offerings and things like that. He told you, well, I'm not going to get into that, but there's reasons why we can't just make stuff up and say it's pleasing to him. That's just like the golden calf. Doesn't matter how you try to spin it, right? He tells us not to turn aside from his words from the to the right or the left, to keep our eyes focused on our own path and make sure that we're not deviating from it, to not go beyond what is written. So all of these things are for our edification, but I just mention this because I've seen people talk about that and I think it's dangerous. You can want to be obedient, you can abstain from alcohol. There's nothing wrong with that. You can you can not let a razor touch your head, although I wouldn't say there's nothing wrong with that because we do have instructions on being well groomed. So, but these are things you could talk about later. Point is, we want to be careful about the things that we choose to believe. That's very key. So, chapter 6 says, And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Yisrael, and you shall say to them, Whatsoever man or woman shall specially vow a vow to separate oneself with purity to Yahuwah, he shall purely abstain from wine and strong drink, and he shall drink no vinegar of wine or vinegar of strong drink, and whatever is made of the grape he shall not drink, neither shall eat flesh, grapes, or raisins. All the days of his vow he shall eat no one of all the things that come from the vine, wine from the grapestones to the husk. All the days of his separation a razor shall not come upon his head until the days be fulfilled which he vowed to Yahuwah. He shall be set apart, cherishing the long hair of the head. All the days of his vow to Yahuwah he shall not come nigh to any dead body, to his father or his mother, or to his brother or his sister. He shall not defile himself for them when they have died, because the vow of Elohim is upon him on his head. All the days of his vow he shall be set apart to Yahuwah. And if anyone should die suddenly by him, immediately the vow of his or the head of his vow shall be defiled, and he shall shave his head in whatever day he shall be purified. On the 7th day he shall be shaved. And on the 8th day he shall bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons to the Kohen, to the doors of the tabernacle of witness. And the Kohen shall offer one for a sin offering, and the other for a whole burnt offering. And the Kohen shall make atonement for him in the things wherein he sinned respecting the dead body. And he shall set apart his head in that day, in which he was set apart to Yahuwah, the days of his vow. And he shall bring a lamb of a year old for a trespass offering. And the former days shall not be reckoned, because the head of his vow was polluted. Now, I want you to consider Yahuwah is all powerful. He knows all things. He knows that if you make a vow, if it's going to be defiled, then you have to make restitution. And he knows if it's going to be able to be kept perfectly. These things are not done in a vacuum, though. I don't think that he would allow someone who's perfectly being sincere in his belief and practice to have defilement. It's only those that are worthy of a thing that get it, in that he does not punish the innocent. So you have to keep in mind these are ways for him to teach even those that are set apart to him when they need correction. Another instance of something like this is in the ancient history of Caledonia, Whenever after they got to their promised land, they were keeping the feasts and they were going up from year to year to keep the offerings. Whenever they would come across an unclean animal in their journey to the feast, they would run back home and cleanse themselves before returning, realizing that they had done something offensive to their maker for such a thing to even happen. They were definitely more cognizant of the problems in their life being for their offenses than we are. But once we realize that that's the reason why reality, sometimes we have problems that we do, it'll make our lives a lot better. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. Some people are not suffering for the things they're doing. Some are suffering like Job to be tried like gold. But I guarantee you're going to be cognizant of the fact that you're not in sin against the Almighty. Otherwise, it's definitely time for self-reflection there. But this is just another way of repeating that let those who draw near to me be set apart in mind as well as in body, right? It says, and this is the law of him that has vowed, in whatever day he shall have fulfilled the days of his vow, he shall himself bring his gift to the doors of the tabernacle of witness, and he shall bring his gift to Yahuwah, one he-lamb of a year old without blemish for a whole burnt offering, and one ewe lamb of a year old without blemish for a sin offering, and one ram without blemish for a shalom offering, and a basket of unleavened bread of fine flour, loaves kneaded with oil, and unleavened cakes anointed with oil, and their meat offering, and their drink offering. And the Kohen shall bring them before Yahuwah, and shall offer his sin offering, and his whole burnt offering. And he shall offer the ram as a sacrifice of shalom offering to Yahuwah with a basket of unleavened bread. And the Kohen shall offer its meat offering and its drink offering. Now remember, all the offerings that were given to Yahuwah of bread were of unleavened cakes. Just like our Mashiach is our Pesach, our unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. He was the offering that was made, and that was unleavened bread. So all of these offerings are that way. The only one that you don't have, and it's because it's not offered in fire. The one that you have that's not an offering that you give is the wave offering of the 2 loaves on the 15th day of the 3rd month. But those are 2 full loaves of bread that are leavened. They're not offered in fire, though, before him. It says, and he that has vowed shall shave the head of his consecration by the doors of the tabernacle of witness, and he shall put the hairs on the fire which is under the sacrifice of shalom offering. And the Kohen shall take the solder shoulder of the ram, or sodden shoulder of the ram, and one unleavened loaf from the basket, and one unleavened cake, and shall put them on the hands of the votary after he has shaved off his set apart hair. And the Kohen shall present them as an offering before Yahuwah. It shall be the set apart portion for the Kohen besides the breast of the heave offering, and beside the shoulder of the heave offering. And afterwards the votary shall drink wine. This is the law of the votary who shall have vowed to the Yahuwah his gift to Yahuwah. Concerning his vow, besides what he may be able to afford according to the value of his vow, which he may have vowed according to the law of separation. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to Aharon and to his sons, saying, this you shall barak, or thus you shall barak, or bless, the children of Yisrael, saying to them, Yahuwah barak you and keep you. Yahuwah make his face to shine upon you, and have mercy upon you. Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon you, and give you shalom. And they shall put my name upon the children of Yisrael, and I, Yahuwah, will barak them. Just as it mentions at the end of Exodus chapter 20 in the Masoretic text there, it says, and in every place where I cause or where I allow my name to be remembered, I will come to you and I will bless you or barak you. So it is a gift, and that gift was directly told to be given by Aharon and his children. And this is another thing too. You see people giving out the Aaronic blessing like they're a Kohen or something. That's nothing that I would ever do in that capacity and pretend some pretensions of that kind of thing. That's going a little bit above and beyond the pay grade there when there's nobody pointing you for that, right? At least not that I know of, or it's never happened to me. And I think that's another thing that's dangerous for people to do. It mentions in the apostolic constitutions and in like the book of Hebrews, the epistle of Hebrews, the greater gives the baraka to the lesser. And there's an established authority for the renewed covenant times. The laity can give blessings and greetings to each other, like Boaz saying, Yahuwah barak you, and the people in the field giving the return, and and Yahuwah be with you, or he would say, Yahuwah be with you, and they would say, and he barak you, Yahuwah, right? There's nothing wrong with turning blessings like that to one another. It's not pretentious in trying to claim that you're a Kohen giving the Aaronic blessing, though. It's totally different. In the same way, it says that the elders can give blessings to elders and those below them, the laity to laity, and then the overseer can give the blessings to all. But you're not supposed to give blessings to overseers if you're not one, or to elders if you're not one, because you're going up the chain of command, and that is directly contrary to the established pattern of authority where Melchizedek gave the Baraka to Abraham. And the book of Hebrews uses that and tells you directly that the greater gives the baraka to the lesser, right? So just something to think about. I think we've got time for at least one more here, if not longer. So this is chapter 7. It's the offering of the princes or the elders, right? There's two words, the sharim or the neshim there, but it would have been the princes of the tribes there, the firstborn of the families that carried down the staves, right? It says the offering of the princes at the dedication of the tabernacle. These are the ones that would have been in the Sanhedrin, the larger one that would be in Yerushalayim, with the smaller ones ran at the different cities wherever they were. And what we call the Sanhedrin there would have been the judges, the elders that would judge or rule in the case, what we would call like the court system in today's common law state countries. But the offering of the princes at the dedication of the tabernacle, there are several offerings at the dedication of the altar. Elohim speaks to Moshe from the mercy seat. So after they set things up according to his word, then he dwells with them like he said he would, where he said he would. And again, these are physical parables to teach a spiritual thing, if you just pay attention to what's going on there. It says, and it came to pass in the day which Moshe finished the setting up of the tabernacle, that he anointed it and set it apart, and all its furniture, and the altar and all its furniture. He even anointed them and set them apart. And the princes of Yisrael brought gifts, 12 princes of their fathers' houses. These were the heads of tribes. These are they that presided over the numbering. And they brought their gift before Yahuwah, 6 covered wagons, and 12 oxen, a wagon from 2 princes, and a calf from each. And they brought them before the tabernacle. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, take of them, and they shall be for the works of the services of the tabernacle of witness, and you shall give them to the Luiim, to each one according to his ministration. So the wagons and oxen and all these things that were being donated were going to be to use to transport the tabernacle parts, whoever was going to get them for whatever parts they had to carry. It says, and Moshe took the wagons and the oxen and gave them to the Luiim. And he gave 2 wagons and 4 oxen to the sons of Gresham, according to their ministrations. And 4 wagons and 8 oxen he gave to the sons of Merari according to their ministrations, by Ithamar, the son of Aharon the Kohen. But to the sons of Kohath he gave them not, because they have the ministrations of the sacred things. They shall bear them on their shoulders. And the rulers brought for the dedication of the altar in the day in which he anointed it, and the rulers brought their gifts before the altar. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, one chief each day they shall offer their gifts, a chief each day for the dedication of the altar. And he that offered his gift on the first day was Nachshon, the son of Aminadab, the prince of the tribe of Yahudah. And he brought his gift, 1 silver charger of 130 shekels was its weight, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels according to the set apart shekel, both full of wine flour kneaded or fine flour kneaded with oil for a meat offering, 1 golden censer of 10 shekels full of incense, 1 calf of the herd, 1 ram, 1 he-lamb of a year old for a whole burnt offering, and 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering. And for a sacrifice of shalom offering, 2 heifers, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, 5 ewe lambs of a year old. This was the gift of Nechshon, the son of Aminadab. Okay. It says, in the second day, Nathaniel, the son of Zor, or Shogar, the prince of the tribe of Yishakar, brought, and he brought the same very thing. I can read these over and over again if you want to. And I really don't mind, but that might put some people to sleep. I don't mean to do that. It is the exact same offering over and over again, however, for the entirety of the thing. And you first have Yahudah, then Nathaniel here. After Nathaniel, you have the prince of the sons of Zebulun, which is Aholiab, or they have Eliab there. Okay, the son of Kalion. And he brought the exact same measure, the exact same offerings, and his peace offering. The fourth day was Elishor, the son of Sedor, the prince of the children of Reuben. The fifth day would be Shimon, the Salmiel's son of Zeru Shaddai. Okay. The sixth day would be the prince of the sons of Gad, Eli Asaph, the son of Rauel here. And they use the ayin. The ayin they can either have as an O, a U, an E, an A, or as you can see, they use it as a G here, like it's in Gomorrah, but that's an ayin, and that would be the son of Raguel. He brings the like offering, identical to the others. On the seventh day, you have the princes of the son, or the prince of the sons of Ephraim, Elishama, the son of Amihud, or Amiud, and he brought the same gift. On the eighth day, the prince of the son of Manasseh, Gamaliel, the son of Pedashar, and he brought the same gift. And then on the ninth day, the prince of the sons of Benjamin, Abidan, the son of Gadoni. He brought the exact same gift. Then you have on the 10th day, the prince of the sons of Dan, Achiezer, the son of Ammishaddai, which is my family is righteous, right? The righteous family, or the righteous people. It could also be my righteous people. But he brought the exact same gift. And then on the 11th day, the son of Asher, Phagiel, the son of Ekron, who brought the very same gift. And then on the 12th day, the prince of the sons of Naphtali, Achir, the son of Enan, and he brought the very same gift. But I'll read it one more time for continuity here. It says, and he brought for his gift 1 silver charger its weight 130 shekels, one silver bowl of 70 shekels according to the set apart shekel, both full of fine flour mixed with oil for a meat offering. One golden censer of 10 shekels full of incense, one calf of the herd, one ram, one he lamb of a year old for a whole burnt offering, and one kid of the goats for a sin offering, and for a sacrifice of shalom offering, 2 heifers, 5 rams, 5 he goats, 5 Yule lambs of a year old, this the gift of Achir the son of Enan. And this was the dedication of the altar in the day in which Moshe anointed it by the princes of the sons of Yisrael, 12 silver chargers, 12 silver bowls, 12 golden censers, each charger of 130 shekels, and each bowl of 70 shekels. All the silver of the vessels was 2,400 shekels, the shekels according to the set apart shekel. And notice that while this took 12 days, it mentions that the dedication of the altar was done in the day that it was done. So the context there is a significant thing. Think about what he means by a day there, right? So it goes 12. I already read this part, but it's in this was the dedication, the 12 golden censers. We already read that one. Yeah, here we go. 12 golden censers full of incense, all the gold of the shekels, 100 or 820 shekels. All the cattle for whole burnt offerings, 12 calves, 12 rams, 12 he lambs of a year old, and their meat offerings, and their drink offerings, and 12 kids of the goats for sin, or yeah, for sin offering. The meat here is being used for the bread, as it was mentioned earlier, but it's not a use that we use very often anymore. Says all the cattle for a sacrifice of shalom offering was 24 heifers, 60 rams, 60 he goats of a year old, 60 ewe lambs of a year old without blemish. This is the dedication of the altar. After that Moshe, or after that set apart, and after he anointed him. So he's saying after Moshe had consecrated it and Aharon after the same fashion, right? And the instructions for what to do with anointing him was done before, and then after Aharon was anointed, he was the one that was ministrating in the Hekel. It was no longer Moshe doing it because the instructions were now for him to do so. It says, when Moshe went into the tabernacle of witness to speak to Elohim, then he heard the voice of Yahuwah speaking to him from off the mercy seat, which is upon the ark of the testimony between the 2 cherubs, and he spoke to him. So before he would come down in the pillar of cloud and he'd speak to him face to face, but now he directly speaks to him before the mercy seat. And his presence being with them in the dwelling amongst them on the mercy seat continued, as far as I'm aware, it continued up until even after the Babylonian captivity. After they returned and rededicated the Hekel, they no longer had the normal ark, but he still communicated with them from inside the veil until the times of after the Maccabean period. It was, I believe, it might have been during Alexander Janus's era, and I could be mistaken on that, but it mentions in there that his voice was taken away at that time, or he took it away because of the wickedness of the people. There, he was no longer dwelling, and his presence was not seen or manifested in that manner. He still did some things for them. When you look at accounts for the Talmud or whatnot, he used to change the color of crimson things that were attached to the goats or put to the doors or whatever as a sign that the atonement was acceptable. And then for 40 years, that was never done. So there were other things that were happening, were signs for the people to help them be assured of his forgiveness and things of that nature. But um, it's just one of the great benefits that he had that were later taken. It was a manifestation of seeing his presence there. This was what all the nations round about knew. And this is something that you never see talked about in secular history, too, but that's for a later time. When men would try, they would actually be prevented by the unclean spirits that were ruling over them from talking about certain things. And that's mentioned in secular histories, even. That's not, you can find the evidence for that in scripture, the proof of how they get jurisdiction and what they can do. But the fact that it happened and the reason why you don't see so overt things like the reign of Shalomo being around the world, it's not very talked about because that kind of thing is not wanting to be shared by the enemy. It would make scripture too easy to confirm, right? Something that Ron Wyatt did himself, but they also try to hide those things. And that's even in our lifetime. I've been alive, that man was alive and found those discoveries since I was a boy, when I was born, even beforehand. But the Noah's Ark, even look today, it was officially recognized by the government of Turkey. They've built a visitor center around there, and through the machinations of evil, I'm not going to blame men directly, but Satan's the responsible party. That thing is being, that evidence is being destroyed and ignored. This is chapter 8, though. How the lamps are to be lighted, the consecration of the Luiim, the age and time of their service, which we've covered once before. And there's also rules for this in the Dead Sea Scrolls. The ages for things are significant there. This is, and Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to Aharon, and you shall say to him, Whenever you shall set the lamps in order, the 7 lamps shall give light opposite the candlestick. And I don't know all the details on this one. I've heard that the original candlestick was not like the menorah we have in our mind. It wasn't just branched out right and left, but it went out in multiple directions, kind of like the circuits of the luminaries, but I don't know how it would have been appointed exactly. And then it had cups on it that would direct the light in one direction, so you can turn the way that it was shining. It was at one end and shining the lights elsewhere, just like you see the light of the sun come around from the east to the south to the west, and then it hides itself going back north again, right? But the lights are usually shining in the south of the tabernacle, if I remember correctly. But here we go. It says, and Aharon did so. On one side opposite the candlestick, he lighted its lamps as Yahuwah appointed Moshe. And this, the construction of the candlestick, solid, golden, its stem and its lilies, all solid, according to the pattern which Yahuwah showed Moshe. So he made the candlestick. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Take the Luiim out of the midst of the children of Yisrael, and you shall purify them. And thus shall you perform their purification. You shall sprinkle them with water of purification, and a razor shall come upon the whole of their body, and they shall wash their garments, and shall be clean. And they shall take 1 calf of the herd, and its meat offering, fine flour mingled with oil, and you shall take a calf of a year old of a herd for the sin offering. And you shall bring the Luiim before the tabernacle of witness, and you shall assemble all the congregation of the sons of Yisrael. And you shall bring the Luiim before Yahuwah, and the sons of Yisrael shall lay their hands upon the Luiim, and Aharon shall separate the Luiim for a gift before Yahuwah from the children of Yisrael, and they shall be prepared to perform the works of Yahuwah. And the Luiim shall lay their hands on the heads of the calves, And you shall offer one for a sin offering, and the other for a whole burnt offering to Yahuwah to make atonement for them. Now, the laying on of the hands here is significant because they're attributing, it mentions in the foretellers, as with the Kohen, so with the people, as with the king, so with the people, right? And you have that principle again in the Shepherd of Hermas, where it's equated with every man in his house is like a king in his kingdom, where you're the responsible party. And when they're sinning, you'll fall and succumb to something to be having your whole house brought under judgment. If you pay attention to how life works, I'm sure you can see these things in your own life on occasion, and it might help you make the right decisions or to comprehend why things might be going on when you yourself aren't literally doing the thing or wanting to do the thing, but it just keeps coming up, right? I've had that very phenomenon in my life too, and it wasn't until more recent times and the learning of these things through his word that you get why it happens. That's why I'm pointing it out so simply for you. But the sons of Louis were made to be a type, a microcosm of what would happen to the people happens in their lives. And that's why they were meant to be teaching them. They would be out in the midst of them, all over the place in the cities of refuge and the cities for the sons of Louis, where men can go, and they were meant to be the ones that gave light to the children. It says, oh, where we go? They wash their bodies and they shall be clean. It says, and they shall take, I already did the sin offerings, didn't I? I'll back up right here. It says, and you shall perform their purification, and you shall sprinkle them with water of purification, and a razor shall come upon their whole body, and they shall wash their garments and shall be clean. And they shall take one calf of the herd and its meat offering, fine flour mingled with oil, and you shall take a calf of a year old of the herd for a sin offering. And you shall bring the Luiim before the tabernacle of witness, and you shall assemble all the congregation of the sons of Yisrael. And you shall bring the Luiim before Yahuwah, and the sons of Yisrael shall lay their hands upon the Luiim. Right? They're imputing all of their faults and ways onto them as the propitiation now. They're the ones that are taking in place of them. And then the sons of Louis put their hands on the animals for that same giving of the sin over to be offered kind of thing. This is an Aharon shall separate the Luiim for a gift before Yahuwah for the children of Yisrael, and they shall be prepared to perform the works of Yahuwah. And the Luiim shall lay their hands on the heads of the calves, and you shall offer one for a sin offering, and the other for a whole burnt offering to Yahuwah to make atonement for them. And you shall set the Luiim before Yahuwah, and before Aharon, and before his sons, and you shall give them as a gift before Yahuwah. And you shall separate the Luiim from the midst of the sons of Yisrael, and they shall be mine. And remember, the sons of Louis were supposed to replace every firstborn that opened the womb of all the children, man for man. And afterwards the Luiim shall go in to perform the works of the tabernacle of witness, and you shall purify them and present them before Yahuwah. For these are given to me for a present out of the children, or out of the midst of the children of Yisrael. I have taken them to myself instead of all the firstborn of the sons of Yisrael that open every womb. For every firstborn among the children of Yisrael is mine, whether of man or beast, in the day which I smote every firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim. I set apart them to myself. And I took the Luiim in the place of every firstborn among the children of Yisrael. And I gave the Luiim presented as a gift to Aharon and his sons out of the midst of the children of Yisrael, or Yisrael, to do the service of the children of Yisrael in the tabernacle of witness. When Jacob first gave his vow, his tenth of all, his son Louis was the one he gave for service to the Kohen. And then all the men, his servants, he gave as servants to him for servants, in the same capacity that all the sons of Louis here are now being used for the firstborn to serve as ministers to him or for him. Just so you can see how that was supposed to work out there. And in today's capacity, in the assemblies, they're not one particular family, but whoever is given the inclination, the best and brightest among us, is what it says in the Apostolic Constitutions. Or, yeah, I believe it's in there. It says, and thus there shall be none among the sons of Yisrael to draw nigh to the set apart things. And Moshe and Aharon and all the congregation of the children of Israel did to the Luiim, as Yahuwah commanded Moshe, concerning the Luiim. So the sons of Israel did to them. So the Luiim purified themselves and washed their garments, and Aharon presented them as a gift before Yahuwah, and Aharon made atonement for them to purify them. And afterwards the Luiim went in to minister in their service in the tabernacle of witness before Aharon and before his sons, as Yahuwah appointed Moshe concerning the Luiim, so they did to them. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, This is the ordinance for the Luiim. From 25 years old and upward, they shall go in to minister in the tabernacle of witness, and from 50 years old shall cease from the ministry, and shall not work any longer. And his brother shall serve in the tabernacle of witness to keep charges, but he shall not do works. So shall you do to the Luiim in their charges. And we'd have to double check to see how the age requirements line up for all of them. I believe the rules that are in the Dead Sea Scrolls for the ages for different positions in the camp were the most detailed. It goes into how you're even supposed to instruct your children, that from 1 to 10, you don't really teach them the law, but from 10 to 20, you start instructing them in the ways of Yahuwah, studiously teaching them those things. Before then, they don't consider their mind to be accountable for that, but you still obviously teach your children reading, writing, language. You go through the scripture stories from a young age on. You teach them these things while, while as you're supposed to. But as it mentions in the Dead Sea Scrolls, you don't start teaching them the requirements of the covenant and the things that are necessary for life until they're from 10 to 20. And after you're 20, you are able to enter into the covenant of your own volition and be a partaker. And aside from those, you had different ages where you can apply for different positions within the assembly in the camp, whether the guardian of the camp or whatever. But right here, this is chapter 9. The Passover is commanded again, a second Passover allowed for them that are unclean or absent, and the cloud guides the removings and encampings of the Yisraeli. Now, right here, the second Passover happens to line up with the day that Adam went into the garden, but you really don't see that until you look at the calendar from the Dead Sea Scrolls. You count out days and you learn the information for what happened to Adam specifically in the book of Yobelim, which we have already read through on our scripture studies. But right here it says, And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe in the wilderness of Sinai in the second year after they had gone forth from the land of Mitzrayim in the first month, saying, Speak, and let the children of Israel keep the Pesach in its season. On the 14th day of the first month at evening, you shall keep it in its season. You shall keep it according to its law and according to its ordinance. And Moshe ordered the children of Israel to sacrifice the Pesach on the 14th day of the first month in the wilderness of Sinai. As Yahuwah appointed Moshe, so the children of Yisrael did. And there came men who were unclean by reason of a dead body. And they were not able to keep the Pesach on that day. And they came before Moshe and Aharon on that day. And those men said to Moshe, We are unclean by reason of the dead body of a man. Shall we therefore fail to offer the gift of Yahuwah in its season, in the midst of the children of Yisrael? And Moshe said to them, Stand there, and I will hear what charge Yahuwah will give concerning you. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Yisrael, saying, Whatever man shall be unclean by reason of a dead body, or on a journey far off, among you, or among your posterity, he shall then keep the Pesach to Yahuwah. And this is to make up for those voyages that Shalomo would send the Hebrews on with the Phoenicians there, right? You had to account for certain things. It wouldn't always be in. This is to help make up for that. Whether there was instructions to cover missing any other feasts, I can't specifically say. We don't have any record of that, and I don't think it's right to just make things up. If you follow the equity in the law, it would be it would stand to reason that you would have a way to make up things that you were missing there. But those, again, we have no record of it. We do have a record of the second Passover, which also lines up with appointed times in significant ways, which was what I was trying to point out. And then it's about a week, I think, before the 17th, or 4 days before the 17th of the first month, which happens to line up with the when the flood started, right? When Adam and Hua first sinned in the garden there with the forbidden fruit, and then when the flood started was the same day. But we'll keep going here. We've already read all of those things. And if anyone would like to, you can look at the videos we have on the book of Yobelim. That would have been back in the beginning, chapters 1 through 5 at least. But it tells you right here that speak to the children of Israel, saying, Whenever a man shall be unclean by reason of a dead body, or on a journey afar off among you, or among your posterity, he shall keep the Passover to Yahuwah in the second month. On the 14th day in the evening they shall offer it. With unleavened bread and bitter herbs shall they eat it. They shall not leave of it until the morrow, and they shall not break a bone of it. They shall sacrifice it according to the ordinance of the Pesach. And whatsoever man shall be clean, and is not far off on a journey, and shall fail to keep the Pesach, that soul shall be cut off from his people, because he has not offered the gift to Yahuwah in its season. That man shall bear his iniquity. And if there should come to you a stranger in your land, and should keep the Pesach to Yahuwah, he shall keep it according to the law of the Pesach, and according to its ordinance. There shall be one law for you, both for the stranger and for the native of the land. And in the day in which the tabernacle was pitched, the cloud covered the tabernacle, the place of the testimony, and in the evening there was upon the tabernacle as the appearance of fire, till the morning. So it was continually, the cloud covered it by day, and the appearance of fire by night. And that phenomenon is what we are told is going to happen during the millennial reign over the dwellings of all of his chosen. That's mentioned in 4th or 2nd Baruch. And when the cloud went up from the tabernacle, then after that the children of Israel departed, and in whatever place the cloud rested, there the children of Israel encamped. And the children of Israel shall encamp by the command of Yahuwah, and by the command of Yahuwah shall they remove. All the days in which the cloud overshadows the tabernacle, the children of Israel shall encamp. And whenever the cloud shall be drawn over the tabernacle for many days, then the children of Israel shall keep the charge of Elohim, and they shall not remove. And it shall be, whenever the cloud overshadows the tabernacle a number of days, they shall encamp by the word of Yahuwah, and shall remove by the command of Yahuwah. And it shall come to pass, whenever the cloud shall remain from the evening till the morning, and in the morning the cloud shall go up, then shall they remove by day or by night. When the cloud continues a full month, overshadowing the tabernacle, the children of Israel shall encamp and shall not depart. For they shall depart by the command of Yahuwah. They kept the charge of Yahuwah by the command of Yahuwah by the hand of Moshe. And that's something that we ought to be doing during our wilderness time today, right? In a very simple way. Can you give me just one moment? All right. So chapter 11, or I'm sorry. Yeah, chapter 10 here for Numbers is on the use of the silver trumpets. The Yisraeli removed from Sinai to Paran, the order of their march. Hobab is entreated by Moshe not to leave them, and the Baracha of Moshe at the removing and resting of the ark. So it says, and Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, make to yourself 2 silver trumpets, and you shall make them of beaten work, and they shall be to you for the purpose of calling the assembly and of removing the camps. And you shall sound with them, and all the congregation shall be gathered to the door of the tabernacle of witness. And if they shall sound with one, all the rulers, even the princes of Israel, shall come to you. And you shall sound an alarm, and the camps pitched eastward shall begin to move. And you shall sound a second alarm, and the camps pitched southward shall move. And you shall sound a third alarm, and the camps pitched westward shall move forward. And you shall sound a fourth alarm, and they shall encamp toward the north shall move forward. They shall sound an alarm at their departure. And whenever you shall gather the assembly, you shall sound, but not an alarm. Now, these would have been different specific calls that they would have been familiar with. The ancient history of Caledonia has something similar, but they used what they called their pibrocks, which later became bagpipes they used for calling their assemblies and calling in their armies and whatnot. But you'll see that this is a used for communication purposes. Most of it is in moving of the troops, and you find even greater detail about that in what is called the War Scroll of the Dead Sea Scrolls, which happens to be about the last battles between the forces of light with our Yahushua and his people, and the forces of darkness with the Kittim and their armies. But aside from these uses with movements and calling people, these were also supposed to be signaled at certain offerings, I believe, and I believe at the Yobel. But we'll get there. All right, it says, and the Kohanim, the sons of Aharon, shall sound with the trumpets, and it shall be a perpetual ordinance for you throughout your generations. And if you shall go forth to war in your land against your enemies that are opposed to you, then shall you sound with the trumpets, and you shall be had in remembrance before Yahuwah, and you shall be delivered from your enemies. And in the days of your gladness, and in your feasts, and in your renewals or your new months, you shall sound with the trumpets at your whole burnt offerings and at the sacrifices of your shalom offerings. And there shall be a memorial for you before your Elohim. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. So you see, it's the sons of Aharon that were supposed to blow these at these offerings as well as at these times for the remembrance. And it came to pass in the second year, in the second month, on the 20th day of the month, the cloud went up from the tabernacle of witness. And the children of Yisrael set forward with their baggage in the wilderness of Sinai, and the cloud rested in the wilderness of Paran. And the first rank departed by the word of Yahuwah, by the command of Moshe. And they first set in motion the order of the camp of the children of Yahudah, with their host, and over their host Nechshon, the son of Aminadab, and over the host of the tribe of the sons of Yishakar, Nathaniel, the son of Zoor or Shogar, and over the host of the tribe of the sons of Zebulun was Oholiab, the son of Kalion. And they shall take down the tabernacle, and the sons of Gresham shall set forward, and the sons of Merari, who bear the tabernacle. And the order of the camp of Reuben set forward in their with their host, and over their host Elishur, the son of Sidor, and over the host of the tribe of the sons of Shimon, Salamiel, the son of Zeru-Shaddai, and over the host of the tribe of the children of Gad, Eliasaph, the son of Raguel. The sons of Kohath shall set forward, bearing the set apart things, and shall set up the tabernacle until they arrive. And the order of the camp of Ephraim shall set forward with their forces, and over their forces Elishama, the son of Simeud. And over the forces of the tribes of the sons of Manasseh, Gamaliel, the son of Pedashur. And over the forces of the tribe of the children of Benjamin, Abidan, the son of Gedoni. And the order of the camp of the sons of Dan shall set forward the last of all the camps, with their forces, and over their forces Achiezer, the son of Ammishaddai. And over the forces of the tribe of the sons of Asher, Thagiel, the son of Ekron, and over the forces of the tribe of the sons of Naphtali, Achir, the son of Anan. These, the armies of the children of Yisrael, and they set forward with their forces. And Moshe said to Obab, that's Hobab, right? The son of Raguel, the Midianite, the father-in-law of Moshe, we are going forward to the place concerning which Yahuwah said, this will I give to you. Come with us, and we will do you tov, for Yahuwah has spoken tov concerning Yisrael. And he said to him, I will not go but to my land and to my kindred. And he said, leave us not, because you have been with us in the wilderness, and you shall be an elder among us. And it shall come to pass, if you will go with us, it shall even come to pass that in whatsoever things Yahuwah shall do us good, we will also do you good. And they departed from the mount of Yahuwah a 3 days' journey, and the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah went before them a 3 days' journey to provide rest for them. And the cloud overshadowed them by day when they departed from the camp. And it came to pass when the ark set forward that Moshe said, arise, Yahuwah, and let your enemies be scattered. Let all that hate you flee. And in the resting he said, turn again, Yahuwah, the thousands and tens of thousands in Yisrael. And these are barakas that you can see that while we've been in our wilderness captivity or wilderness journey, when he's arisen to go and he's helped his people, or when he's returned to them again and he's benefited them, these are the barakas that were alluding to that in those times. Uh, there was one book I had seen about these. I really don't remember it, but it was specifically in regard to the wilderness journey and what the children did and how it was a type. I'm not sure how clearly they might have seen these things, but it's my hope that you all are able to see that the type of wilderness journey here that he did, the things they went through before coming into the land, is a microcosm of what is going on at a larger scale, where you can even look at the second Exodus in a larger way, where we go into captivity and then we're brought out and then brought back through. These are also mentioned in the foretellers where he's going to bring us all out of the place in which we are captive, but we will not all return to the land. He will root out the wicked from among us under the rod that we have to pass under, he mentions. Um, God willing, these things will become more clear as we get to the foretellers in the course of time. All of this stuff is little by little as you go. So hopefully, if we do anything right, you'll see that at least through the chronological order, what we've covered so far, even up to these days, they had a wealth of information they would have been able to know. At this point in their life, it's not just, oh, learning these things out of ignorance. It's coming back to the truth in a more full capacity from what they had originally had just a few generations ago with their forefathers. But it's not something that's so clearly shown today all the time, and I'm hoping that we can help bring that to light. Either way, you have a great rest of your Shabbat, a great week ahead, Shavua Tov, and we will talk to you next time. We'll also try to be getting out some more videos for anyone keeping up with our Israelitish origin and the Hebrew or English derived from the Hebrew. So please keep us in prayer for those and for look forward to seeing them. Otherwise, we'll talk to you later. Shalom.